We are at the part 2 on the GST amendment proposed in 2023. Now let us get into some other key amendment which has been proposed in budget 2023-24. One of the proposal which has been made is that they have now provided a timeline for furnishing the returns, that is GSTR 1 under section 37, GSTR 3B under section 39, annual return under section 44. Earlier there was no timeline prescribed. Now they have categorically mentioned that from the due date, the period which is available with the assessee to file this return is only 3 years. Another important amendment which has done is that now they have bring a lot of onus on the e-commerce operator. The e-commerce operator will be required to pay a penalty of 10,000 rupees or a tax amount, whichever is higher, if they do not fulfill the following condition. First, if they transact with a person, with an unregistered person. Second, that the person who is ineligible to undertake interest rate supplies, they take an interest rate supplies through e-commerce, or the statement which is required to file, they do not file within the time. Now, when we are coming on talking about e-commerce operator, let us also discuss about the composition scheme which was available, but there were certain restrictions under section 10.2 and 10.2a. One of the restrictions was which was or category of person who was not eligible for the composition levy, to opt for the composition levy, were the people who were supplying the goods and services through an e-commerce operator who were required to deduct tax under section 52. Now, this is a welcome move where they have actually removed the restriction on the supplier of goods. And now this restriction or the person who is not eligible to opt for composition scheme is only restricted to the supplier of services. So now only a supplier of services who transact through an e-commerce operator who are required to deduct tax under section 52. Fourth, now which is important is that they have brought a inclusion of a word to the supplier under section 16.2. Not to just brief that in the scenario where I have not paid to the supplier 180 days, I was required to reverse the credit. Now, what they say in that is, okay, you can avail the recredit, but if the payment is made to the supplier. Now, under the law itself, they provide for the scenarios where I may have to require to make the payment not to the supplier, but on behalf of the supplier. Let's say to the IBC personnel, or let's say to this government itself, because the supplier has not discharged his liability. Now, in this scenario, though I am making a payment on behalf of the supplier, not to the supplier, will I be able to avail the credit under section 16.2? Appears that we have to go into the intent and credit may be eligible and available. Along with this, now also very important is that they have made a change in the definition OIDR, where earlier it was that automated and minimal human intervention. Now what they are suggesting and proposing to remove that language of essentially automated and having minimal human intervention. This may open a Pandora box and lead to a situation where almost all online services may qualify for this OIDR within the definition. So therefore, this is an important. One more thing which they have done is that they have seen the Schedule 3 transition, which are outside the ambit of GST, were never considered for the purpose of computing the value of exempt supplies, except the para 5 of Schedule 3, which was referring to the sale of land or building after OC. Now, the government has proposed to even consider the value of goods which were supplied when they were warehoused and not cleared for home consumption. Now, it appears that there were certain high court decisions and the government has tried to overturn those high court decisions. So ideally, now, therefore, to summarize, first, there has been onus on the responsibility now casting more on the e-commerce operator when they are dealing with unregistered persons or persons who are actually not allowed to do interstate supplies. Second, that the restriction to opt for composition scheme and now been only among the other categories entirely now been taken away as a supplier of services. Now the supplier of goods is allowed even though they are doing it through the e-commerce operator, but supplier of services still cannot offer composition scheme. Third, that the supplier payment to the supplier should be made to the supplier, but in the scenario if it is not made to the supplier and to others on behalf of the supplier under the statutory provisions of the law or any other law, it may be considered as payment to the supplier and credit may be available. That is something. And the time limit has been prescribed, which is okay. So this is the major changes which has been proposed in budget 2023-24. Thank you.